guys, and welcome to another video. We're doing a movie review. Today I'm doing a review for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Oh my god, I love this movie. I love this movie. I really do love the Guardians of the Galaxy movies, and I think it is probably my second favorite MCU trilogy, my favorite still being the Captain America film. I just think it's so good in the way it makes you care about these ragtag bunch of outsider kind of criminal characters, and they each have such a deep, meaningful story, especially Rocket's. His is so tragic and so heartbreaking, and I want to give him a hug. Like Groot and Rocket, but especially Rocket, is atonement to James Gunn's ability to write and make you feel about this character, but all the Guardians, but especially Rocket, because he's a CGI raccoon essentially. But you learn to love and care about him, especially in Guardians 3. You're just like, oh my god, I just want to give Rocket a big hug. I'm like, it's okay, buddy. It's gonna be okay. I would probably say it might be my favorite of the Guardians films. That being said, it is quite dark. I would say in aspects, it might be the darkest MCU movie in the way it does stuff with there is some body horror in this film. There is, because of Rocket's story and how he's genetically experimented on raccoon, there are animal cruelty kind of scenes in this film where they borderline on animal cruelty. So if you don't like that kind of stuff and you're not a big fan of body horror, I would probably not go see this film. It borderlines on that sort of thing. So if that makes you uncomfortable, it's something that you can't watch, then I don't think this movie is for you. But if you can handle it, or if you just want to see Rocket's story, then go for it. Now I'm gonna jump into spoilers. So if you have not seen Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, please leave, because I do not want to spoil this movie for you. If you've stayed, you've seen the film, or you don't care to be spoiled and you just want to watch what I have to say about this film, then stick around. Obviously, this film is mostly about Rocket's backstory, and a lot of us didn't really know what the plot of this film was going to be, and I'm almost glad they didn't tell us in the trailers. We knew that this was the last Guardians film, so a lot of us thought Guardians were gonna die, and there were many instances during this film when I thought the Guardians were gonna die. Like when Peter Quill is saving everybody off of that ship and he's floating into space, I fully thought he was gonna die. I fully thought Peter Quill was gonna die at the end, and I was like, I don't want that, but he was okay. I fully thought Drax was gonna die when they were in that place trying to get the codes. I fully thought Drax, when he got shot by Nathan Fillion, fully thought he was gonna die. I was not having it. I was like, nope, I don't want it. But many instances, when I thought Rocket was going to die, and I was very nervous because Rocket's my favorite Guardian character. So if he died, I would have been a hot mess. This film is really Rocket's story, and out of all of the Guardians, he has such a heartbreaking, sad story. And we knew a little bit about it because he was genetically engineered, experimented on raccoon. We knew that. And that was bad enough. His story, I just can't get over his story. The first instance we see of a young Rocket and his story is he was a part of this litter of little raccoons. And you see the High Evolutionary go in there and grab him, and he was experimented on. They gave him a human brain, or a brain where he can think properly and he has coherent thoughts. Rocket's whole backstory explains so much of why he is so afraid to have a family again, friends again, why he is so afraid to open up to the Guardians again, why he has that hard exterior shell is because the last bunch of friends he had got them killed, which was not his fault. So he gets experimented on, which is heartbreaking enough, turned into this genetic raccoon, human hybrid thing. He gets put into this cage with these other genetically hybrided animal things. And I'm not gonna lie to you, that one rabbit, Floor, I don't like spiders. So to see her with spider legs was very uncomfortable. Just seeing all of those animals and the way they were mutilated and experimented on, it's just so heartbreaking. Lila, she doesn't have any arms. He cut her arms off. The High Evolutionary cut her arms off and gave her robot arms. Keith, the walrus, he has these things to keep his eyes open all the time. His bottom half has probably been cut off and put into a wheelchair. And Floor, she has this metal thing on her mouth, and she has spider arms. It's so uncomfortable. Can't help but be so uncomfortable in that situation. But at the same time, you're so distraught and sad because you're these animals didn't ask for it. They didn't ask to be turned into these things that the High Evolutionary deems as perfect. It's just so fun. god, it's so sad to see this is where Rocket came from. Like, oh, sweetie, no. I have moments where Rocket and his new friends are dancing, they're laughing, they're having a good time because they now have more friends and they're all in this together, but kind of know where it's going because you know that they're not in Guardians 1 and 2. No, there's a reason why they're not around, so you know something's gonna happen to them, but you just don't want to. Moment where they're on the floor and Lila's talking about this new colony that they can't wait to go to and how she wants to have a name that she chooses. So she calls herself Lila, like the walrus calls himself Teeth, and then the bunny/rabbit calls herself Floor. Rocket, when he's solving this experiment for the High Evolutionary, sees this rocket in this sky and he gets so excited about it. That's where his name Rocket comes from. He wants to fly into the forever beautiful sky on a rocket with all of his friends. That's why he calls himself Rocket. I can't. Probably can see it coming, but at the same hand, on the other hand, you're just like, you're hoping that when Rocket fixes that card to get them out of their cell, there's that sliver of hope where you're like, please, let them all get out. Let them be all okay. He's hugging Lila, and then Lila gets shot, and I could not turn around and Floor and Teeth, they're dead too. I was like, no. I'm crying just thinking about it. Every scene with the High Evolutionary, was the moments where I was so angry. The High Evolutionary is one of those good villains. He's a villain, there's no redeeming qualities about him. He is a villain where you hate him, and you hate him rightfully so. For all the experimentation he's done on these innocent animals that have not asked for it. The way he wants to make a perfect society. No, it's like Rocket says in the movie at the end, you didn't want to make a perfect society. You just didn't like things the way they were. That moment was so heartbreaking. Rocket is talking about the new world. I knew when the High Evolutionary started looking at him like that, I was like, oh no, him and his friends are not going to the new world. And the way the High Evolutionary just degrades Rocket and just the way he picks apart all of these things. He belittles him and says, you think you're going to the new world? No, you are not a perfected creation. You are not perfect. You are just an in-between, a means to start from somewhere. Rocket and his friends are perfect in their own way. They were perfect before you decided to get your little grubby hands on them. They deserve to go to the new world. And the fact that they weren't able to and they died, and that's why Rocket is so afraid to make any new friends or get close to anyone because he's afraid they're gonna die in his hands. I'm just like, oh my god, Rocket! That's all Rocket and his friends ever wanted. That's all his friends ever wanted, was to get to the new world. They gave themselves new names that they chose because they were going to start over and have a better life in this new colony. And the fact that they did it, and the fact that Rocket tried to get them out so they could get away, he feels so much guilt and so sad for them. And you can just tell at the end when you think Rocket's gonna die, he's flatlined, he's dying because the code is not working. I fully thought Rocket was gonna die again, and I was just hyperventilating. I was not okay. See Rocket in this in between white space with Lila, and he just breaks down and he's like, I'm sorry I couldn't save you. I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. It's not your fault. You did not ask to be experimented on. You did not ask for any of this, Rocket, so do not blame yourself, please. And Lila's just like, it's okay. It's okay. You still have a purpose. And he's like, what purpose? We were created for nothing. You may have been created this way, Rocket, but it's not the hands that create you that dictate what you get to do. It's the hands that you own. The hands that you were dealt. You get to decide what you want to do with your life. You get to decide what you get to do. You are not bound by what the High Evolutionary says. If you want to continue living and help out people and be a Guardians of the Galaxy, that is your purpose. I think at the end when Rocket says, I'm done running, Pete, I think he's realized I'm done running from my past. I need to help out all of these creatures and these people. I love that he went back for all of those animals, and he knows what it's like to be taken from your home, to be taken and experimented on and just gone through this traumatic situation, and he doesn't want anyone else to go through that. Love that moment where he takes all of the baby raccoons and he just gathers it up like, you're coming with me, guys, you're my brothers, you're coming with me. Obviously, if you remember what happened at the end of Guardians of the Galaxy 2, the Sovereign people are making Adam Warlock. Adam Warlock comes in the beginning, shoots Rocket, and he's bleeding, and I'm very scared because I'm like, you can't just kill Rocket at the beginning of the film. It's so upsetting to see the way Rocket is bleeding out. It's a lot of blood. I'm just like, I can't start the movie off like this, James. The whole point of the film film is they have to go and find this code because there's a kill switch on Rocket's heart. They have to go find this code and deactivate the kill switch. So really this whole mission, the whole plot of the Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 movie is so personal to all of them because Rocket is a part of them. He's a guardian like them. I love that the third and final movie is a very personal movie to the Guardians because we've known them for so long that we are with the Guardians. We feel like we're a guardian as well, so it feels personal to us because we've gotten to know them over so many films. This mission also feels personal to all of us because we love Rocket so dearly. Want to see him be okay. We want to see him survive. Your audience is already connected with these characters. You've already felt a bond with all of them. When one of them is in pain and hurt, you feel that too. So I think James Gunn used that connection, that level of love and compassion we have for these characters to his advantage in the third film, and it works. It works so well. And it's not just Rocket that has such a personal story in this film. I feel like every single Guardian is going through their own personal journey in this film. James Gunn was able to balance all of the Guardians' individual little stories they have going on and make them work together, give them enough time to breathe, but also work with the pacing. This is their found family, and you can really feel that and see that connection of found family, how much they mean to each other. I think my other favorite storyline in this film was the Nebula storyline, but this Guardians movie really made me love her more than I normally did. The reason why she is so distraught about Rocket is because I think her and Rocket have a very similar story. Rocket was experimented on and pulled apart and taken from his only family. And that's the same thing with Nebula. She was taken and she was just pulled apart and picked apart because she wasn't deemed perfect, like with Rocket with the High Evolutionary. I think Nebula and Rocket can relate to each other in that sense that they were both taken from a life they know. They were pulled apart, experimented on, rebuilt until they were perfect, but even then they were not perfect enough. I think they can both relate to that, and that's why I think when Nebula hears Rocket's voice and that he's back, she gets very emotional. And I completely buy that because Rocket their relationship they have. Plus, they were the only two Guardians that did not dust away. They're the only two left, so they probably had some time to bond in those 5 years. Obviously, they have some kinship there, some companionship. And the Peter and Gamora storyline going on in this film, it was very heartbreaking to see. She's still 2014 Gamora. She doesn't know anything about the Guardians. She doesn't know anything about Peter and her relationship because Guardians 2, that never happened for her. Peter's really struggling with that throughout this entire movie because the first time we see him in this film, he is drinking. Apparently, he's been drinking constantly. I think Peter's whole storyline in this film is that he has to, like with Rocket, he can't run from his past. He was taken off his homeworld when he was 8 years old. He lost his mother. He never went back to Earth. He lost Yondu, and he lost Gamora. He always just keeps losing people, and that's why I think the potential of losing Rocket, he would not accept it because he can't. He's lost so many other people. He can't learn to let go. He doesn't want to let go because it's not until the end that Peter realizes that this is not my Gamora. She's never going to be my Gamora. This is a different version of Gamora. Starting to realize that and see that we can never be the way we were. New Gamora, kind of like with our first Gamora that we got to know, she kind of sees the family dynamic, the found family with these Guardians. I think by the end, she kind of sees that there could be something, maybe further down the line, there could be something with this Peter, because he's starting to accept that I'm not the Gamora that he knows and loves, but I'm starting to realize there's a reason why the other Gamora fell for him and why they started something. So I feel like maybe down the line there could be something there. Love the relationship that Mantis and Drax has formed. It started in Guardians 2, and then you had it more so in the holiday special, but especially in this film, there's just something there. And I'm glad it's not like a romance relation. I love romance. I love it to pieces. But I also love a good male and female companionship and just partnership and best friends. At the end, when all the Guardians are going their separate ways, Drax is crying and he wants to go with Mantis because you need someone to protect you, but Mantis has learned throughout this film, I almost like the way that they went their separate ways. It makes sense in terms of their character arcs they've gone on, not just in this film, but the entire series. But I have Mantis, who for the longest time she did whatever Ego wanted her to do, and then for the longest time she did whatever the Guardians wanted her to do. Now she needs to go on this own path to figure out what she wants to do, what her purpose is. I love that Drax wants to go with her, not just to protect her, but I'm sure it's because he really wants to stay with her. At the end, he is crying, watching her go. I'm just like, Drax! Drax is going to stay on Nowhere with Nebula, and they're going to help rebuild. I love how Nebula said, "We're not born to be a destroyer, Drax. You were born to be a father to all of these kids." I was like, oh my god, gonna go back to Earth. He's been running from his past. He's been ignoring Earth for so many years. He hasn't seen any family members since he was 8 years old. He wants to go back and see his grandfather. His grandfather lost his daughter and his grandson in the same day. I'm sure his grandfather is more happy to see Peter than angry with him, and obviously he is. And then the thing that I love the most, Peter says, "You're the new Captain Rocket. You are the new captain of the Guardian of the Galaxy." He's like, I can't. So yes, Rocket is the new leader of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and he has a new team. I really loved Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I know this is the last time we're gonna see the Guardians, potentially, but we'll probably get the new Guardians in the Secret Wars or Kang Dynasty. I don't know, but I want more Rocket. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you guys thought about Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 down in the comment section. I will see you guys with another video very soon. Bye, guys!